finer than the killer.
Rolling Stone says Long Kiss is super sexy and action-charged. It juggles jolts and jokes with a mad fervor. Turns on the fireworks.
Hey, honey, this is a real big gun.
This ain't no ham or rat, pal.
Geena Davis and Samuel L. Jackson are the action team of the fall.
Honk if there's any trouble.
Yeah, so Miss Daisy, I be honking.
What a ride. Take it. The Long Kiss Goodnight, rated R, starts Friday at a theater near you.
In a world where podcasts reign supreme, two friends dare to ask, do you even movie? Hosted by filmmaker Enrique Couto and movie aficionado David D. Neuer. Spoiler alert.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Do You Even Movie? I am your host, Enrique Couto, here with Double D, Louis Denoyer.
Greetings.
And we have a very special holiday episode for you all.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, perhaps. But before we get to that, I have something I need to complain about.
Okay.
So, my name, Enrique Couto, with the H... Yeah. With
Yes.
the H that's silent,
Yeah.
that throws everybody, and then people get self-conscious too, because then they'll be like, oh, should I not have said Henrique? And I'm like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
You say H's all day long. You could say Henrique. It's totally all right.
A lot of my friends have been like, can I still call him like Henrik? Is that okay? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. You could say both. It's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. It's just when people say, hey, how do you say your name?
Yeah.
I will be like, Enrique. But if they say like, what's your name? Enrique. But if they said, hey, Henrik, I'll be like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. It doesn't bother me in the least.
Yeah.
But having that first name combined with Couto or Couto in Portuguese, Couto, also not a common last name at all.
It is not.
Very few of us out there.
Yeah.
So I work in show business.
You do?
And one of the things you have to do is track what's going on in the world involving you and your product, whether it's movies, podcasts. So I have Google alerts set up to, like, for instance, I have a Google alert set up for Do You Even Movie in quotes.
Okay.
In case something somewhere posts about us.
Yeah.
I have one for my own name. I have one for every movie I've ever made. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I can find when people are blogging or news stories come out or
Makes
whatever.
sense. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know. Well, now I know so much about it.
Yeah.
That apparently in Brazil, which is, so that's the thing. Usually when I get a Google alert for my name and it's not me, it's a soccer player from Brazil. All of a sudden, my Google alert is full of notifications every hour because apparently there's a guy named Henrique Couto Nobrega in Brazil who is currently negotiating like the biggest trade deal Brazil has ever had with China in the history of Brazil.
Yeah.
They are publishing news stories hourly about this massive deal for days. So my feed is nothing but stuff about Brazilian trade, which oddly enough is one of the few hobbies I don't have.
Which is surprising.
Is following Brazilian trade. Well, now I follow it.
Well, now you have to.
So...
I love that text you sent me yesterday. I was just like, that's hilarious.
That was today.
Was it today?
Yeah.
God damn. The days are blending.
Yeah. So that is annoying. I need my name to go back to being unusual.
That's fair.
Again.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you about that time I got a review for my movie Bleeding Through, and at the end of the review it said Enrique Couto is quickly becoming one of my favorite foreign filmmakers?
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
That was fucking funny. That was like 11 years ago.
I was gonna say that's a while ago.
But very, very funny. So I've also done, like, I worked once for a university somewhere. I won't say where.
Yeah.
And they sent me, when they sent me my tax paperwork, they sent me a non-citizen tax, I don't know what, instead of a W-9, they sent me like the non-citizen tax papers.
That's nuts.
And I wrote them back and I was like, I may sound exotic.
Yeah.
but I'm from Ohio. And I have a social security number, and it has my name on it.
Yeah.
So if we could just
not,
I was like, look, either let me skip, either pay me under the table,
yeah,
or pay me as a citizen, I suppose.
I guess.
Boy, that's boring.
So I have something to report.
No, you don't.
I saw Wicked since last time we met.
Oh yeah, you did.
I did.
You did.
Yeah. It was a spur of the moment thing. I had a friend text me, and my roommate and I both were free this past Sunday, and she was like, do you guys want to go see Wicked? And I had known ahead of time, because I'm a nerd, so I deep dive on that stuff, that this is technically Wicked Part 1.
Yeah, they started letting us know that right before it actually came out.
So when the title screen pops up, it says Wicked Giant, and then in the corner just says Part 1.
Part 1.
Yeah. So 2 hours and 40 minutes. And
oh my God.
Yeah, it was, I knew that going in. I had researched ahead of time and whatnot. And I've got to say, overall, like, I like The Wizard of Oz. I think it's a great movie. I usually will probably watch it like once a year, honestly, because I think it's just a mesmerizing film. I did not know a damn thing about Wicked except for that it was a novel. It was a popular stage play. I knew a couple songs from it.
And I assume it takes place in Boston.
In Boston, yeah.
Wicked.
Did you see that article? I think it was, I can't remember if it was or if it was Hard Times or something, but it was like Bostons are having a hard time deciding if they're going to go see Wicked or not, but can't stop talking about it.
Solid.
Yeah. But anyway, so went to the theater, saw it. Honestly, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I actually had a really good time with it. If you're a musical fan, if you're not a musical fan, I think there's something to like in the movie for everybody, especially if you enjoyed The Wizard of Oz. It's basically the prequel story of Glinda and Alphaba, who is the Alphaba, who is the Wicked Witch of the West, becoming friends when they were in school together. And it's basically the origin story of the Wicked Witch.
I gathered.
You gathered that from the title, Wicked.
And having the Wicked Witch of the West on the cover.
That's fair. Yes, also. But no, overall, like, I thought it was a fun movie. If you don't want to sit in the theater for almost 3 hours, then I would probably wait for streaming, because I would honestly bet it'll probably hit like the first part of January or so at this point.
Yeah, I don't know.
Its popularity, it's hard to tell. But no, if you are a Wizard of Oz fan, if you've been curious about it and you are looking for a fun time to the theater, it's a good time. It's got good songs. It's not a full-blown musical. Like, there's maybe 7 songs in the whole movie.
Well, I mean, it's based on a book, which they then turned into a stage play.
Stage play,
right.
Yeah. And the stage play apparently is only like 3 hours altogether. So the fact that they've broken it into what's going to be basically 6 hours to tell the whole story theatrically is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's the
word.
That's the word, yeah.
But no, if you're curious about Wicked, I had a lot of fun with it. It did not feel long to me, too. I will say that, even though it was like 2.5 hours. Didn't feel that long to me. So I was fine with it. But no, I give Wicked a 4 out of 5 if you are a fan.
4 out of 5?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, that's massive praise.
So the first hour, I was just like, this is fun, cool, like I'm having a good time with it. And then it does something like right about the 90, 100-minute mark where it just sucked me in, and I was just like, okay, I want to see what's going to happen now. So the storytelling is a little slow in the beginning because you're learning the characters, learning the institution they're going to, and all that stuff. But and also, I will say the plot's kind of a bit jumbled that first hour as well. But once you get past that first hour mark, like I said, it did not feel long to me. By the time it was ending, I was like, yeah, this seems about right. Like this is probably where, kind of like that time Hateful Eight, where we thought Hateful Eight was getting too long, and then it ended.
Yeah, it was like over almost right after I had started thinking, how long have I been sitting here? And so it was credits.
Yeah. But no, 4 out of 5 for me. I gave it a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I had a good time with it. I will probably watch it again when it comes out. I'm not going to rush out and see it by any means, but I'm excited for the second one to see where it's going to go. So I give Wicked a seal of approval after a couple weeks ago, kind of running it through the dirt.
Running it through the dirt?
Yeah. We said some shit about it. Not majorly.
I'm not going to go see it.
Oh, no, you're not going to go see it.
I mean, I don't like musicals very much at all.
No, I know.
I mean, it's not in the heights.
You have I was going to say, you have a couple that you'll let slip, but yeah, you are tough with musicals.
By law, I had to like In the Heights.
Well, I'm not saying.
I'm an American Hispanic. It's a law.
But have you seen Hamilton?
Hell no.
I don't think so.
I don't care. I don't.
So Wicked gives Dave seal of approval, and it gives it a whatever.
Although, honestly, if Hamilton had a movie, I probably would go see it.
That freaking thing that they released to Disney Plus was supposed to be theatrical, but then COVID happened, and they dropped it on Disney Plus. Yeah. It's fun. I've watched it a couple times.
Well, that's good to unleash your inner white girl.
I've also literally like listened to Hamilton like driving to Wasteland because it's the perfect length of it, like a full CD for that drive.
Well, it can't be a full CD because a CD is 74 minutes.
CD,
oh, yeah.
It's set. Yeah,
right.
It's a full like a full set. By the time you're getting to the last song, you're arriving at the Royalton Inn. Or Royalton.
Royalton's the road.
The road, yeah. Thank you. Sorry.
Well, I am glad for you. I had the delight of having a cold.
Yes, you did.
Over the weekend to lead me right into holiday stuff, which is ideal.
That was
it's
me
what
at the
you
end of
want
October.
to do.
Yeah.
It's what I also had a cold at the end of October.
Yep.
Possibly I gave it to you or you gave it to me.
We'll never know.
There was like no way that we could ever know.
It's like that time that you caught COVID mysteriously and I didn't have it. Your mom didn't have it.
Nobody I'd come in any form of contact with had it. Only I did.
It must have been hiding in the house just waiting.
Well, no, that was the worst part. So I get sick by like Thursday. I'm sick, or Wednesday or Thursday. I'm full blown sick.
Yeah.
But we had seen each other Friday and Sunday and Tuesday. And then you got sick that same. So there's literally no way to know.
No window.
And then Rachel didn't get sick.
Yeah.
But this time around, she made me sick.
Yeah. That sounds like her.
Yeah. But I told her, hey, I understand. Living together, sometimes we're going to make each other sick. Sometimes literally.
Solid.
Yeah, thank you. I really did say that to her.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's you pour your heart out over a couple of Coney dogs. Yeah. So just want to mention that when I get sick, like the way I was, and very long, boring story short, I can't lay down when I sleep right now, which sucks. It should hopefully be over in just under a week.
Yes.
Yeah, it's sleep apnea stuff.
Yeah.
Sleep crapnea. That's what they should call it. But so I'm like on the couch sitting up, just like with a neck pillow.
Yeah.
Just like in and out of existence. So I put on, I found out with my new iPhone I bought that I got 3 months of Apple Plus.
Yeah.
So I put on Killers of the Flower Moon. And just like drifted in and out of it for 3 hours.
You could do that with
27 minutes.
Yeah.
I still like that
That's
movie.
a great movie.
It really was good. But yeah, I would like in and out. Oh, and then I watched Wolves.
And you didn't watch the director's cut of Napoleon?
I thought about it.
I was wondering.
I actually didn't want a movie with that much action because it would wake me up too much.
Speak for yourself.
Well, fair. Jeez, Dave.
No, I fucking fell asleep in theater like 4 times that day.
Yeah, but you were stupid.
That was stupid that day.
But no, I watched Wolves.
How is it?
The movie with Brad Pitt
Clooney
and George Clooney. It was good.
Okay.
It was really good. It wasn't quite as jokey or as humorous. It was humorous, but it was a little more serious than I thought it would be. It was a little bit more complicated than I thought it would be. And honestly, I thought it was attempting, ironically enough, to be very like a Shane Black script.
I could see that.
Which is the bizarrely perfect transition.
It is indeed.
To us talking about tonight's movie, The Long Kiss Goodnight from 1996.
We are kicking off our holiday lineup with if you've seen Die Hard the umpteenth time and you're looking for a Christmas movie that has the balls, the villains, the jokes that Die Hard does, I would say Long Kiss Goodnight is definitely a good contender with that.
I would say so, yeah.
So The Long Kiss Goodnight from 1996, 2 hours and 1 minute, rated R for a substantial amount of strong bloody violence and for strong language.
Ooh.
Our director on the film is Mr. Renny Harlin, who gets his start in 1986 with Born American. He goes on to shoot Prison in direct Prison in 1987, followed by
Renny Harlin's first film was Born American.
Born American.
Because he wasn't.
No, he was not.
He was born in like Sweden.
Yeah, he had a couple short films and whatnot on there, but like his first theatrical was that one, or first feature was that one.
It's just funny that he's from Sweden and he made Born American.
Prison in 1987, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master in 1988.
My favorite.
It's a good one. Wild Force, the band, did a music video. Sophia in 88 did another Wild Force vehicle a video in 88 called I Want You to Stay. Then in 1990, directs Die Hard 2.
One of my favorite movies, too.
Follows that up with The Adventures of Ford Fairlane in 1990.
Cappy.
Follows that up with Cliffhanger in 1993.
I love Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger's fun. Did you see we're getting a remake?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think it's going. It might be going direct to streaming. They've got a poster out right now.
I wouldn't.
It's gender swapped.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not even trying to be an edgelord about it. It's just like in the movie, Stallone's character, the whole point of why he's the cliffhanger, I'm just going to call him that, is that he's like a buff dude who can like pull people up when they're going to die.
They're doing the exact same pose on the poster too for the new one. That's the thing they've released so far.
Seems a little odd, but I'm surprised it's not a miniseries.
I am too, honestly. So Cliffhanger in 1993, Gladiatoriate in 1993 follows that up with a little film in 1995 called Cutthroat Island. And talk about a cutthroat production for Mr. Harlin, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The Long Kiss Goodnight follows that in 1996, followed by Deep Blue Sea in 1999. Deepest Bluest, the music video for Deep Blue Sea with LL Cool J. He also directs. Tracks in 2000, Driven in 2001, Mindhunters in 2004, Exorcist the Beginning in 2004 as well, The Covenant in 2006, then goes on to do The Cleaner with Samuel L. Jackson in 2007.
I like that movie.
Solid
That
flick.
was a random Netflix find for me. When I started playing it, all of a sudden I went, Renny Harlin?
That was a Circle K DVD buy from my parents' house when I lived there back in the day.
Nice.
Followed that up with 12 Rounds in 2009, 5 Days of War in 2011, does episodes of Burn Notice in 2011, Covert Affairs in 2012, Devil's Pass in 2013, Graceland in 2013, Legend of Hercules in 2014, Skip Trace in 2016, which is the Johnny Knoxville Jackie Chan film.
Oh, yeah. I like Skip Trace.
Legend of the Ancient Sword in 2018, Bodies at Rest 2019, The Misfits 2021, Refuge in 2023, The Bricklayer in 2023, and most recently, The Strangers Chapter 1 in 2024. Chapter 2, of course, coming next year.
I really liked The Strangers
Chapter 1. I liked it too.
1.
It got shit on by a lot of people, but we had a good time with it.
But a lot of people bought tickets for it.
That is very true as well. Our writer on the film, as Enrique mentioned, is Mr. Shane Black. We talked about this gentleman with The Last Boy Scout a couple episodes ago. He writes 1987's Lethal Weapon, The Monster Squad in 87 as well. Lethal Weapon 2, he gets a character and story credit on. The Last Boy Scout in 91, he gets screenplay credit. Lethal Weapon 3 in 92 gets character credit. Last Action Hero in 93. The Long Kiss Goodnight in 1996. Lethal Weapon 4 in 98 gets characters and story credit. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang in 2005. Iron Man 3 in 2013. Edge in 2015, The Nice Guys 2016, Lethal Weapon series in 2016 as well, and The Predator in 2018.
Man, that is a hell of a...
It's a hell of a lineup.
Yeah.
Moving now to our cinematographer, we have Guillermo Navarro, who gets his start in 1986 with Amor a la... Oh, God, I wrote this and I don't... That right there.
Oh, Amor a la Vuelta de la Esquina
in 1986, Bathroom Intimacy in 1991.
That's a title.
Kronos, the Guillermo del Toro film he shoots in 1992. The Cover Girl Murders in 93. ABC After School Specials in 1994. The Cisco Kid in 1994. Then in 1995, he shoots a little film called Desperado.
Oh.
So he does cinematography on Desperado, follows that up with 4 Rooms in 1995, From Dusk Till Dawn in 1996, Dream for an Insomniac in 96 as well, The Long Kiss Goodnight in 96, Spawn in 1997, Jackie Brown, Salsa in Love, Stuart Little, Spy Kids, The Devil's Backbone, Broken Silence, Imagining Argentina, Hellboy, Zathura, Pan's Labyrinth, The Nativity Story, Night at the Museum, Hellboy 2, I Am Number 4, The Resident, which was that Hammer comeback film.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Follows that up with Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 1, Mockingbird Lane, which was the failed relaunch of the Munsters.
Deeply failed.
Deeply failed, yeah. Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2 in 2012, Pacific Rim 2013, Night at the Museum Secret of the Tomb in 2014, Star Trek Discovery episodes, Cocaine Godmother for Netflix, Godfather of Harlem in 2019, Doolittle, and The Unforgivable in 2021.
Man, that is a lot of great stuff.
Shooting both Jackie Brown From Dusk Till Dawn is one thing, but then Desperado, Devil's Backbone. I mean, he worked with Del Toro several times.
Yeah.
On really good flicks.
A lot of good stuff.
Moving down to our IMDb synopsis, it says, government agents come for an amnesiac woman who gradually remembers her past.
I mean, that's a little sparse. Jesus.
My synopsis says, Samantha Caine has been living a peaceful life for 8 years until a bump on the head results in memories resurfacing of her old life as a lethal secret agent. I guess I could have said government assassin. Damn it. Yeah!
I mean, that's like kicking a 7-year-old and taking his bike. Like, you won.
It's yours.
It's a win.
Moving down to our taglines, we have the most spectacular action scenes you've ever seen.
I mean, this movie is pretty freaking crazy.
Yeah. Then we have 8 years ago, she lost her memory. Now a detective must help her remember the past before it buries them both. What's forgotten is not always gone.
That's supposed to be a tagline?
That's in the tagline section on IMDb.
That's a long tagline.
Those are the only two, believe it or not.
Usually a movie only has one tagline.
Yeah. Unless you're Blood Rage.
Well, most movies only have one title.
That's also true.
Unless you're Nightmare in Shadow Woods.
Also true again. The Long Kiss Goodnight, currently streaming on Paramount Plus. You can also rent it or buy it on Prime, Fandango, any place you get your videos. I will say the Blu-ray, I believe, is still fairly cheap, and there has not been a 4K or anything yet, so that's the only version you can get of it.
And it looks and sounds great.
Looks good.
It was rocking my whole living room on the surround system.
Yes, it was. Moving down to our cast, we have Geena Davis, who plays Samantha Caine / Charlie in this. She gets her start in 1982 on Tootsie, follows it up with Knight Rider in 83, Buffalo Bill, Fantasy Island, Family Ties, Remington Steele in 1985, Fletch in 1985, follows that up with Transylvania 65000, The Fly in 86, Beetlejuice in 88, Earth Girls Are Easy in 88, The Accidental Tourist, Quick Change in 1990, Thelma and Louise in 91, A League of Their Own in 92, Hero in 92, Angie in 94, Speechless, Cutthroat Island, The Long Kiss Goodnight, Stuart Little, The Geena Davis Show in 2000, which I did not even know was a thing.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all.
It went from 2000 to 2001. Stuart Little 2 in 2002, Will and Grace, Commander-in-Chief in 2005, Accidents Happen, Coma in 2012, A World when Marnie was there, The Exorcist series in 2016, Grey's Anatomy 2016, Glow series in 2019, Ava in 2020, and most recently this year was in Blink Twice. She's the mom.
Yeah, she was the mom. She's really good in that.
Really good in that.
But you know what she wasn't in?
What?
Beetlejuice.
She was not in Beetlejuice, no. But you know who was, though? Jeffrey Jones.
His face and
his
people
likeness,
kept talking about
his
him.
claymation self.
Ay.
Boy, oh boy. Samuel L. Jackson plays Mitch Hennessy in the film. 204 credits on this gentleman's resume, by the way.
How many?
204.
204.
This is an abridged version of his resume
No,
up to 2008.
I want you to read all 204.
My God. So starting in 81, big role for him was in Ragtime. Follows that up in 88 with Coming to America, Do the Right Thing in 89, Sea of Love, Goodfellas in 1990, Jungle Fever 91, Juice 92, Menace to Society in 93, Jurassic Park in 93, True Romance in 93, Pulp Fiction in 94, Kiss of Death in 95, Die Hard with a Vengeance in 95, Hard 8 in 96, A Time to Kill in 96, Long Kiss Goodnight in 96, Jackie Brown in 97, Sphere, Out of Sight, The Negotiator, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace in 99, Deep Blue Sea in 99, Shaft in 2000, Unbreakable in 2000, Triple X 2002, SWAT 2003, Kill Bill Volume 2 in 2004, The Incredibles, Coach Carter, Snakes on a Plane, Black Snake Moan, Afro Samurai in 2007.
Ah, yes.
Cleaner in 2007, Iron Man, Lakeview Terrace, Soul Man, the list goes on and on.
I love
Lakeview
Terrace. That's a really good movie.
We bonded over that early in our friendship.
Yeah, that's a really good film.
I really like. Have you seen Soul Man with him and Bernie Mac?
No, that sounds awesome.
They're R&B singers that are doing a reunion tour, and they're traveling in a car.
How did I not see that?
Dude, it's so funny.
Oh, that sounds great.
Wrapping us up on our cast is Craig Berko, who plays Timothy in the film. He gets his start in 1973 on The Young and the Restless, followed by ABC After School Specials in 1987, Love Note in 87, Amen, Newhart, Wings, Murphy Brown, Empty Nest, Red Dwarf, Star, Mad Men of the People in 1994, The Long Kiss Goodnight in 96, Till There Was You in 97, Sour Grapes, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Mad About You, The Suburbans, The 13th Floor, Ally McBeal, Sex and the City, Dickie Roberts, former child star.
Ah, classic.
Danica, Cinderella Man, Scary Movie 4, Boston Legal, Nip Tuck, Superhero Movie, Headcase, The Good Wife, Damages, The League, The Change Up, The Mentalist, The Three Stooges, Elementary, Unforgettable, Hot in Cleveland, Catfight in 2016, Blue Bloods 2018, The Blacklist in 2022, and most recently was on the new Curb Your Enthusiasm in 2024.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guy's been working.
He definitely has been working. So what was your first time seeing The Long Kiss Goodnight, sir?
You showed it to me.
Did I?
Yeah.
You want to know how I remember that?
How?
Because my Blu-ray fucked up and we had to go to Buybacks to buy a new copy while we were watching it.
Holy crap, that did happen.
And my Buybacks receipt is still in that copy out there.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, we had literally gotten through like maybe the first like minute of credits, and then it just started like glitching out and pixelating really bad. So then we had to try to Buybacks and get a new copy, which
Back
luckily they had one.
Yeah, which shockingly they had one, and there was one back then.
But yeah, no, this movie fell into my oeuvre because it was a blind buy VHS purchase at a flea market back in Piqua when I was a kid still getting VHS tapes. And I remember the guy had a sale that was like, buy 4 get the fifth free. And I think they were all basically the same price. So I remember the exact stack I got. I went home with Fright Night, Money Talks, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, True Romance, and The Long Kiss Goodnight. And I watched all 5 of those like as soon as I got home.
I mean, that's a pretty solid stack.
Yeah, and I remember, I think I was watching The Long Kiss either first or second. I can't remember if True Romance was high on the list because I think that was the first time I ever saw True Romance. So I think I saw True Romance and The Long Kiss Goodnight back to back for their first times.
Nice.
So it was I was just blown away by this movie, obviously. The action somehow gets crazier in scenes. The jokes are hilarious, and overall the story just unfolds to a really good thriller, and it's Renny Harlin. You're not going to have a bad time.
Well, I think that what the film does is it escalates like double time every time.
Yeah.
Which at first is a little exciting, and then by the middle it's quite a bit exciting, and by the end it's insane.
It's insane.
Because it'll be like, oh, a car exploded. Well, now everything's going to explode.
Everything's going to explode.
And then you're like, oh, now everything explodes. Like, no, now literally everything is going to explode.
And now cars are raining from the sky on fire.
Yeah, no, like for real. It's an exercise in escalation.
Yeah. So are you ready to get into it?
Why the hell not?
All right. So we open with shots of, we see handwriting that says Charlene Elizabeth Baltimore. We see shots of a handgun. We see some cryptic pictures and whatnot that we're not putting together, but we also see a nice Christmas setting. They're panning through a house. We see some Christmas gifts, some decor, a nice family portrait.
Well, yeah, it's the holidays.
And we also cut to a Christmas parade as we see various floats, horses. We also see Samantha Caine, played by Geena Davis, and she tells us that she was born 8 years ago on a beach in New Jersey, washed up pregnant on a shore with a blank key, and that was the only memory that she has of anything before that.
And, I mean, there aren't many worse fates than washing up on the shore of Jersey. But fair enough.
She says that she has retrograde amnesia, which basically makes it so that she cannot recall anything from the past, but definitely there is a past life that we have not gotten into at all yet.
Clearly, yeah.
So she's a teacher now. She has a little girl named Caitlin. She has a guy that she's seeing named Hal. We see them walking through the snow, having a good time. We also cut to her daughter and her friend in a treehouse as her daughter's explaining the issue with her amnesia to her friend. And Samantha pops up and she's just like, hey, Caitlin, can you help me in the kitchen? Also, do you remember where it is? And like just joking with her, like really cute stuff.
Yeah. It's very clear that she's digging the mom life.
Yeah, and she's also very well loved in the community, as we see in the next scene, as her and Hal are having a Christmas party with friends. Hal gives a really funny toast where he basically says that he doesn't swear, smoke, or drink. Oh shit, I do smoke and drink.
Yeah, which is pretty solid.
Pretty
joke.
funny. And also at this point, Geena Davis catches a kid, Ronald, smoking at the party, and he
tries to steal a cigarette.
Yeah, tries to steal a cigarette, and she's just basically tells him, no, have a cookie instead. And that may come back in the movie.
Well, she tells him that if she catches him smoking one of those, he's gonna wind up in a ditch, or he's gonna bury him or something.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'll bury you in the backyard. Something like that.
Yeah. So we next see Mitch, who is played by Samuel L. Jackson, and he busts into a hotel room with a guy that is in bed with a woman, and he's got 2 guys with him disguised as cops that are clearly not cops.
Yeah.
So he starts basically going in on the guy, saying that he's under arrest for prostitution, and that if he wants to fuck with him, he can gladly send him to a place where he can be fucked in the ass. Like, he has 3 renditions of this to basically say, I'll fuck with you if you fuck with me.
Yeah.
So he has one of the guys start reading him his rights, and he's basically coaxing the guy and guiding him through reading him his Miranda rights. And then that gentleman also ends up vomiting.
Yeah.
So we find out that this is actually a scam that he's running, because the woman that was in bed is actually his assistant, and he is actually, he's a private dick, basically, right?
A private investigator.
Yeah, he's a private investigator, and we also find out that he's been doing the scam for a bit, because she even tells him they have to stop using bums. But his assistant then also informs him that they have a lead on the Samantha Caine case.
And worth mentioning 2 things about Samantha Caine.
Yeah.
So number 1, she mentions standing in front of the mirror naked.
Yeah.
Wondering where all the scars came from. Because she has lots of scars.
Yeah.
Not like an obscene amount, but plenty of scars. And number 2, she mentions that even as she's been settling into her life, she's been trying to find out where she came from.
Yeah.
And that at first she was hiring great private detectives and then decent ones. And now whoever's cheapest.
Low,
just whoever's cheapest. Yeah. And clearly Samuel Jackson is the cheapest.
Yeah, Mitch Hennessy, by the way.
Mitch Hennessy.
So she informs him that they have a lead on the Samantha Caine case because they found a credit card in a shoebox with a woman that has recently passed, and it has Samantha Caine's name on it. So he decides to call her and basically say that they're going to check into this a little bit more. So that is when we find out that Samantha is driving her friend Earl home, who has been drinking at the party. They wreck because there's a deer in the road, and that sends Samantha through the front of the windshield out into the snow. And she wakes up and kind of has a bit of flashes of memory that we see come back to her, but we still can't put together much.
And you saying she goes through the windshield into the snow is a gross simplification.
Yeah.
It is a terrifying car crash.
They hit this deer. She flies, I would say easily, 50 feet?
Before that, the deer's kicking them in the face.
Yeah. Because I think her buddy is dead, I want to say.
I don't know for sure if he died.
I guess we never see.
No, we never see.
But yeah, also her buddy played by the great Alan North, who many may know from See No Evil, Hear No Evil. He plays a cop in basically everything.
Yeah, and this one he's a drunk.
He's just a drunk in this one. So she emerges from the snow. She's a little bloody, and she's having memory flashes, and then she just wanders over the deer and sees it's in pain, so she just decides to break its fucking neck.
Yeah, without any hesitation.
No hesitation whatsoever. So then we cut to the Jersey Correctional Facility, where we see a man sitting in the rec room alone in front of the caged TV because, they're in the institution.
That's how you know you're in a good place.
Yeah.
When the television is behind a full-blown cage.
So he's smoking a cigarette, and all of a sudden on the screen flashes the image of Samantha as Mrs. Claus in the parade, and he just starts losing his shit, basically screaming, "It's impossible, you're dead, what the hell's going on?" We cut away from him. We're now in the hospital. Hal is visiting Samantha, who is sleeping. And that's when we cut into her dreams as we see Samantha looking back at herself in a mirror as the woman in front of her, which is her, changes to a woman that's like her, but now has short, cut, dyed blonde hair.
Yes. And we're starting to get the sense that it's coming back to her.
Yeah. And the woman in the mirror says, "You want a cigarette?" And she's like, "I don't want a cigarette. I don't smoke." She's like, "You used to." And she also says that she's coming back and her name's Charlie, and get used to it.
I know that amnesia is very rare. And in fact, most cases of claimed amnesia are faked, from what I understand.
Yeah.
But imagine how terrifying it really would be if you had no memory of your past.
Yeah.
You would wonder, like, was I a bastard?
Mm-hmm.
Was I a son of a bitch? Was I Dave? Like, what could I have been?
No, exactly.
But no, it's a really cool space to play in.
Yeah.
This whole idea that she's basically, as we're going to come to see, she's almost like how a sleeper cell is shown, like she has all these skills inside of her mind that she doesn't even know about until they start unlocking.
Well, she's not accessing all of her brain yet. She's only accessing 15%.
What was that movie?
The Lazarus Project.
Well, that one too, but there was the other
Limitless.
one. No, what was that movie? The action movie with the girl, the like female assassin, and all the animal pictures.
It wasn't Lucy. That's the one with the animal pictures.
Animal images.
Oh God, I don't even know.
One of my great pet peeves is the cinematic trope of saying that we only use like 5 to 10% of our brains. Maybe the writers who keep saying that only use that much of their brains. But the rest of us, we use the vast majority of our brains for many things, such as retaining learning that's not true after the first time we fucking heard it.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy. But no, there was some action movie that I was really looking forward to, but it opened up with how they make you the perfect killer, assassin, fighter, whatever is. We activate the rest of your brain, and I was like,
God, are you sure that wasn't Lucy?
I think it was Lucy.
Yeah, Lucy with not Charlize Theron.
I think it was Lucy. Was that a Luc Besson?
Yeah,
yeah,
Scarlett Johansson, I think. I think it was the same time as that and Under the Skin were close together.
It's probably Lucy. I was not a fan, but it's hard for me to stay invested when they say something that's stupid.
You mean Lucy, spoiler, the movie where it turns out that she's basically turning into a computer slowly? Yeah, I remember. So Charlie is in this dream with Samantha, and we should also point out, as you pointed out, that she's basically in a Hellraiser 2 dream, apparently.
Oh, man, no, it's like Renny Harlin definitely was thinking of Hellraiser 2 when he showed that moment, because she's standing there with the mirror in front of her and the wind blowing her hair around and then the blood trickling. Like, it's so Hellraiser 2.
And I noticed on this viewing for the first time that all of those times where she's meeting Charlie, except for I think the one time in the hotel, they're on the cliff, and I never put that together.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So basically from that point, she is told that her name's Charlie and she's going to love her. And that is when we cut to a neighborhood where we see Mitch sitting with his son, Todd, and he's showing him a place that he got for him. Todd's mother requests that he comes in, and Todd informs him that he can't accept the gift because you know how mom is. So we kind of see that Mitch doesn't really have a great relationship with his son. Well, he has a good relationship with his son, but the mom really doesn't want him around because she doesn't trust him.
Yeah.
So that is when we also see that Mitch gets a page, and his assistant informs him that they have found a letter that has Samantha's original handwriting on it. They found a stash of stuff from the old woman as well, and that he is going to go see her tonight because they're going to go track this stuff down and see if they can dig a little bit more into her past. At Samantha's, they're prepping dinner, but Samantha is struggling with cutting a carrot. Even Hal's kind of giving her some crap for it, when suddenly she starts chopping like a pro chef.
Yeah, she is just slicing right through everything.
Like
through
everything.
Like a Vegematic.
And they get celebratory. They start throwing her peppers. They start throwing her all these things. And at one point, they toss her a tomato, and she's balancing the knife on her finger at this point. And as the tomato is tossed to her, she throws the tomato, throws the knife, and the tomato gets stuck into the wall.
Which is such a great moment, because then when the camera cuts back to Geena Davis, she goes, chefs do that.
Chefs do that.
Yeah, because she's convinced at this juncture that she must have been a chef because she has all this muscle memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hal seeing this is obviously a little nervous.
Yeah, that would startle me a little bit.
So we cut to an airplane hangar where we see a man chained up who's being interrogated by our villain, Timothy. And he basically tells this guy that he knows when somebody's lying just by looking into their eyes. Timothy also gets a call on his cell phone. And we find out that One-Eyed Jack, the man that was in the cell watching the coverage of Samantha on the TV, has escaped from prison, and that due to seeing Charlie, he has gone crazy and he wants to find her. Timothy was supposed to have killed Charlie, who is called Charlene by this point as well.
Right.
And that's when he basically says, all right, I'll look into this. And he kills the guy he's interrogating, and that's when we get the first introduction of Timothy, who is a motherfucker in this movie.
Well, somewhat literally. Hey now.
So that is when we then cut to the ice rink the next day, where we see Caitlin and Samantha are on the ice, and Caitlin's having some trouble skating. She's afraid, and she actually tells her that she doesn't know if she wants to do this. And that's when Samantha's like, you can do this, go out and skate. So Samantha goes out and skate, gets about a couple feet, and then falls, and she's crying, saying she wants to go home. She's hurt. When suddenly Samantha's tone changes a little bit to the Charlie tone that we heard in the dream. And she basically tells her to stop being a little baby, get up, life is pain, and she will skate to the shore and not fall again. Do we understand each other?
Hey, that's some parenting.
So later that night,
my dad thought that would work.
I could see that.
You could? Yeah, it didn't.
It didn't?
It didn't.
Well,
no, it made me worse.
I could also see that, yes.
Thanks.
So later that night, snow is falling outside of Samantha's house, and Hal checks on Caitlin, who we see is now in a cast. He then goes up to the treehouse where we see that Samantha is, she's just cuddled up against the side, and that's when we're found that Caitlin suffered a fracture, and she's feeling so bad because not only does she not remember what she said to her, she has no memory of what happened. So she kind of had a blackout moment.
A likely story.
So Caitlin has accidentally suffered a fracture, and she feels terrible for it. And that's when Hal goes to comfort her, but even Samantha flinches, and she's like, and he's like, hey, don't be afraid of me. She's like, it's not you I'm afraid of. I'm basically afraid of me.
Yeah. She's afraid she'll, effortlessly react and break his face.
So I know what you're thinking so far, dear listener. If you haven't seen this movie, you're like, man, when is this going to get into the action? Well, we suddenly start to hear some carolers, and we see Hal start to smile because the sound of carolers makes both of them happy. But we cut to the carolers singing, and we see that somebody in the caroling group has a gun on the carolers, forcing them to sing.
Yeah, which, that's how I have to get a lot of the people around me to have festive cheer.
I could see
frankly, some years that's how I feel with my whole family, getting everybody on board for the holidays.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're gonna smile, you're gonna eat the fucking ham. Everyone's happy. Give me your Amazon wish list code.
So Samantha goes to the door, and she's got a bowl of M&Ms that she's going to give to the carrot, which I thought was odd. Just a bowl of M&Ms. Is that what it is? Because it's what he trips on.
Oh, I mean, usually you give them something.
Yeah, just a handful of M&Ms as well. But anyway, so she goes to the door with some candy, and that's when One-Eyed Jack comes through the caroler's spread, and he's got a shotgun. He fires one shot as Samantha tries to fight him, and we see that the shot misses her. Hal even tries to step in and help her, but he ends up slipping, and that's also when Jack slips as well on the bowl of candy, firing a shot that goes right through the wall, blowing a hole through the fucking wall.
Yeah, this shotgun packs a wallop.
It does indeed. So Samantha, thinking fast, grabs Caitlin, hurls her across the hole into the treehouse because it's just the lighting's perfect.
Right through the hole in the wall onto the treehouse, and it's a sweet-looking effect.
Yeah. So she starts fighting with Jack. They make their way into the kitchen. He's got her over the sink at one point, and she grabs a pie, smashing it into his face, which is now bloody, and he falls to the ground. She not only punches him in the back of the head, but then just stands right over him, snaps his neck right in front of Hal.
Yeah, she roughs him up, and it's not just with anger and aggression, it's with a level of martial arts discipline.
Precision.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not only that, but then she also just takes a little cream off the top of his head from the pie and says, "Chefs do that," as she licks her fingers right in front of Hal.
Yeah, with fucking blood.
Blood, indeed.
It's blood. She's tasting blood and cream.
Yep.
Which I mean, if cream can cut the terrible taste of coffee, I guess it'll make blood okay too.
Who knows? So sirens ring out as police arrive. We also see that Mitch is there because Samantha runs out to see if Caitlin's okay. Mitch tells her that Caitlin's okay. They're pointing their guns at her. The next morning, though, we see that Samantha and Mitch are going on a trip to try and find out more about her identity, and she tells Caitlin to keep a candle lit in the window for her.
I know it's a very emotional time for you, David.
To keep a candle lit in the window.
I know. Light it. A candle for your mom.
And writes her portable cell number on her cast as well, and even gives her bear a bracelet which has the key that we mentioned in the beginning for the safety deposit box that I just gave that away. Whoops.
Wow. Gee, where's the button?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, my bad. So that is when we also see that she is assuring her that's when Hal basically tells her, hey, no matter what you find out about the person that you used to be, I'm still going to love you for who you are. I'm not afraid of you. Nothing that you can do is going to make me afraid of you. I'm still going to love you.
Every time you go away.
So that is when we see that they cut to the White House, and we are with the president, who is discussing Charlene's resurfacing.
That escalated quickly, huh?
Yes, it
All of a sudden, now we're at the White House.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're upset because not only has this mess been dumped into his lap, but also he's upset because they wanted to secure government funding. And that's when he also has the line of, "You all come to me every year wanting your government funding, wondering where it went. Healthcare."
Well, he's threatening him. He's saying he's basically saying if you don't solve this, then I'm putting it in healthcare instead. Which I love that that's the threat is well, I'll put the money for your operation into healthcare.
Yeah.
See how you like that.
That's when we meet Leland Perkins, who is, I think he is he a head of the government agency?
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And he's talking to the president. So Samantha and Mitch are driving along the road, and that's when she, he's like, are you cold? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, okay, go ahead and turn the heat on. It doesn't work, but it makes a really annoying sound.
It distracts you from how cold it is.
Yeah. So we also see her looking at the postcard that's addressed to her, finding out that she had addressed it to her fiance. Mitch almost drives off the road, admiring a woman jogging, and this causes a whole conversation of them to basically talk about the attraction that men have for that sort of thing, and this is kind of their initial bonding that they have, basically kind of sensing each other out.
They're getting to know each other.
So she sees that the name is Nathan Waldman that is signed in this book that was in the Samantha Caine stuff that they got. So she decides to make a call to the number that's on there. So we cut to a nice estate where we see a man who is Nathan, enjoying his dinner, or at least he's trying to, but the woman that he's with has a dog and it will not stop licking its ass. So that's when the phone starts ringing, and Samantha is calling him, obviously, and he instantly recognizes her voice and calls her Charlie. And she says, you know my name? And what's my full name? And that's when he says, your full name is Charlie Elizabeth Baltimore. He tells her she may be in danger and that they must meet at a train station tomorrow. So later that night, Mitch and Samantha have stopped off at a motel as Samantha practices her name, as we saw in the credits initially, the opening credits. We also hear Mitch narrate what he's doing by a blues tune that he basically sings everything he does.
Da 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 da.
Da-na-na-na-na, gotta put the keys in my pocket.
Da-da-da-da-da.
So she picks up on that, and that's also when we see that he notices that she's been cursing a lot more because she's messing up the writing and she's dropping a couple F-bombs. And he's like, do you curse this much usually? Because like when I met you, you were a real phooey, I burnt the muffins type of person. And she basically tells him to mind his own business. She's not amused. She even shuts the door because he's smoking in the hotel room and she doesn't want to smell it. So that's when they've gotten Samantha Caine's stuff at this point, and she's in the room now with the suitcase. She pulls everything out of the suitcase and starts finding a secret compartment in the suitcase, opening it up to reveal a high-powered rifle and a knife.
And her reaction is not fear. Her reaction is simple awareness as she immediately assembles the rifle without any hesitation.
No hesitation whatsoever. And there are at least 20 pieces of this rifle, and she puts it together like it's nothing. And that's when, by this time, she's by a mirror, and she turns into the mirror to see that Charlie is also in front of her with the rifle, but also Charlie cuts her throat, waking her up. So Samantha comes out of a dream, and that's when she looks on the bed to see the rifle is still fully assembled.
Well, I mean, it ain't doing any good for you in pieces.
So she goes to grab it and hide it. That's when Mitch spooks her by walking through the door, and she accidentally fires a shot right next to Mitch as he ducks down. Next, we see that Mitch is wanting to leave. He's handing her money back, saying that he's done. He doesn't want to be a part of this. The situation's getting out of hand. And that's when she pleads with him, adding that her memory feels like it's locked inside her head. Do you know what that feels like? And that's when Mitch also exposes that he spent 4 years in prison and he is not going back.
Yeah, she says it feels like my brain is locked up. I'm locked up inside my brain and I can't get out. Do you know what that feels like? He's like, yeah, I do. Yeah. And I'm not going to do it again.
So we see them driving on the road in the night, and that's when Mitch tells her a story about 7 years ago. He was an Atlanta cop, and there was a partner he had that didn't like him, and that they were also manning the evidence room. And one day, a thing of bonds went missing, and an anonymous tip basically leaked that they were in his closet. And she's like, oh, so he framed it? And he's like, oh, hell no, I stole the damn things.
No, I did it. Yeah.
Adding, he's never done one right thing in his life, and that takes skill. Mitch then takes the money back, telling her that he will drive her to the train station to meet Walden so they can figure out what is going on. So the next morning, they arrive at the train station 10 minutes early, and Mitch states that he's got a bad feeling as he grabs the pistol from his trunk as they go in. Samantha goes to sit at the bar, and sitting down, she is handed a Budweiser, and to the left of her, we see that Timothy is also at the bar. And he asks her, do I know you? Oh, wait, is that a pickup line? And they kind of exchange a little, not flirtatious, but like
he's really feeling her out.
He's feeling her out.
I think his thought is that he's being funny by flirting because they're in public. But when he notices she reacts just like a literal stranger who just, is being
does not recognize him.
Yeah, because that's the moment is when she says like, I don't think we have met. And he's like,
I don't think we have.
Yeah, we haven't. Yeah, he's very surprised.
Yeah. So that's when he walks out to the center of the room and he basically tells his men via over the earpiece that they're going to move in and kill them both. So we see him give the order. A gentleman begins to approach her as Mitch has joined her at the bar now, and we see a guy with a nice hat. He's walking up. We think it might be Walden, or they think it is. Nope, it's an assassin as he draws a silenced pistol out, but before he can get a shot off, Mitch shoots him dead.
Boom. I mean, it is an epic shot.
Yeah, and men just siege on the station at this point. We see civilians getting shot down. They're mowing down everything, trying to get to Samantha and Mitch, and they are just blowing this train station lobby up, and that's when Mitch and Samantha go up the stairs. They get an Uzi off a gunman, and that's when Mitch tells her that he's got 3 shots left. She's got 1 clip to spray and pray, except a grenade comes around the corner, and he says, fuck it, run!
That's a great moment. A great moment. Very Shane Black kind of moment.
Yeah, so they're running. There's nowhere to go, and that's when Samantha says, yes, there is. Taking his gun, she shoots through a window. They jump. They go running at the window, jumping through the window, going right down into an ice pond, but she uses the machine gun to shoot through the ice, and they plummet through safe and sound.
Aww.
Except they're freezing fucking cold.
A little on the chilly side, maybe.
So they quickly run back to the parking lot as Nathan shows up, running down one of the gunmen that's right close to them, and he tells them to get in now. Mitch comments on them jumping out a window, and that's when Brian Cox is one of my favorite lines of this movie, where he's like, yes, it was very exciting, and tomorrow we'll go to the zoo.
Yeah, yes, it was very exciting, and tomorrow we'll go to the zoo.
A very Shane Black line.
Yeah.
So that's when we meet Nathan Walden, and that's when he basically explains that he gives Samantha a gun, and that's when Mitch is like, you have any more of those? And he's like, yes, I actually have 2 more, one in my belt, one on my leg. that may come back later.
Hmm.
So he also comments that her name is Charlene and that the school teacher Samantha never existed. It was a cover that was created that she bought, revealing that she's an assassin for the government and was trained by him. He tells her that October 98th, she was assigned to take out an ammunition dealer, but when she failed, that she would basically disappeared. And he comments that Douglas is clearly aware now as the train station proves that he has sent men on her. Mitch is suspicious, and as they get to a destination, he grabs a tire iron from a trunk, approaches him, and that's when Brian Cox is like, hey, what are you thinking? But both Samantha and Mitch are in this together, and they basically take Nathan down to the ground, stealing his car. As Samantha comments, the next move is to meet the fiance on the postcard. Mitch is obviously uneasy about this, but the two drive out to the country.
Yeah, why the hell not?
So we see them pull up to a nice house with a farm, and we see a man chopping wood, played by the great David Morse. He's shocked to see her, as he states that she believes his name is Luke, and she was going to marry him. That's when he drops his wood and embraces her, calling her Charlie, lifting her up, but that's when Mitch wastes no time at all, showing him the gun, saying, she's like my sister, and right now, I don't trust you.
Yeah.
Or she's like my daughter.
Well, and this is, this is where we're really starting to figure out that these two have bonded in a special way, and that's important to the story.
It absolutely is. So the three stand in a stable as the guy known as Luke tries to explain that they were in love, and Samantha starts rattling off facts that she knows about him, asking to speak to him alone as Mitch watches from a distance. As Mitch is watching, Nathan sneaks up, putting a gun to him, putting him against the wall, and telling him to drop the rifle. That's when he informs him that he got the address from a notebook in his pocket, along with the address above the strip club and this drawing of a penis, when he goes, that's not a dick, that's a duck.
Everyone's a critic.
So that's when he also tells Nathan the situation, and Nathan informs her that Max, that is the name, that Uncle Max is one of the aliases they have in this, that he's actually the agency, and if they're engaged, it means that the guy Luke is a target. So Charlie was due to assassinate this guy, so they run out screaming to Samantha as a helicopter shows up and cars emerge around them. We see Timothy is in the helicopter waving to her with a rifle, and that's when the guy known as Luke punches her, knocking her out, which revealing that he is actually Douglas.
Well, and that's one of the themes of this film is identity.
Yeah.
And subtly and not so subtly.
Yeah.
Because constantly we're thinking somebody is something that they're not, that they're one person when they're really somebody else. But we also have characters who think they're somebody when they may be somebody else. And it's not always a bad thing.
No.
Either.
So when Samantha comes to, she finds herself tied to a water wheel as Douglas explains, Douglas speaks to Timothy, who is now with him, stating he believed her amnesia until she showed up here, and now he wants to know what she knows and who she's told.
Da 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 da. He's gonna kill that white woman. Da 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 da.
So he cranks the wheel, sending her down into the freezing water, and that's when she sees the corpse of Nathan, who they've already previously drowned. They keep her down there for about 20 seconds before wheeling her back up. Timothy questions if she remembers anything at all, and he once again is convinced that she doesn't, and tells Douglas to drown her before he leaves.
And it should be mentioned, the water is freezing cold. Like her lips, she comes out with her lips blue.
Yeah,
the first time she does.
They're all in winter coats and everything because it's snowy around.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah. But I mean, they really sell. How cold it is.
So Douglas asks her if she's told anyone again, and Samantha states that she's not Charlie. And Douglas comments he hates to see her like this, as she was once a hell of a spy. Samantha, as Charlie states, watch your back. I'm not done yet. So that's when he lowers her back into the water. We see flashbacks of One-Eyed Jack and Timothy opening a trunk as he instructs Jack to dump her, not do anything with her, just kill her and get over this with. And that's when we see Jack and Charlie on the edge of a cliff as he's going to inject her with something to poison her. She suddenly comes to, stabbing him in the eye with the syringe, which we forgot to mention he is missing one eye, and even comments that he wants his eye back. When he meets her.
Maybe.
Yeah. And he goes run, and she goes running. That's when he fires off several shots at her. One of them hits her in the side as she goes over the side of the cliff, basically showing the audience now that Charlie is back, that this rush of memory has brought Charlie back.
Charlie's back, baby.
So that is when, back in reality, Samantha is emerged from the water as Charlie, calling Luke Douglas now and telling him to let her go, and she'll let him keep his legs. He questions, why is she back? What's going on? And she comments, since he touched her, she thinks that that she needs to have a bath. So Douglas lowers her back into the water again as Charlie goes to work on the ropes of on her right hand, getting her hand free, and then she goes into Nathan's pants, retrieving the pistol that he had mentioned in the car as well.
Yes.
So she is now armed. He wheels her back up, and as she breaks surface, she fires 3 shots into Douglas, dropping him to the ground. She frees her other hand and approaches him, and he calls her Samantha, begging for his life, and that's when she questions, who's Samantha? And asks, where is Mitch? And when we see Mitch, my God, my heart always breaks for that moment. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Because he is clearly at the bottom of this basement, tied up. They've stripped him, and he's been beaten. So he's just sitting there, just basically waiting to die. Suddenly, the door opens. We hear gunshots, and then we see this door open, and this flash of beam of light comes through, and Charlie's standing at the top.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's an awesome moment.
So now we're in New Jersey.
Finally. Which exit?
So that is, we see that Charlie is now in full swing. She's doing her hair, doing her nails, doing her makeup, changing everything about her. And Mitch is asleep in the other room, not realizing any of this is going on.
Well, yeah.
So that is at the point. Then Mitch also gets up, and we see that Samantha has torn up pictures of her, Caitlin, and Hal. And they're in the trash, and he retrieves one of them.
She has some kind of a strange anger towards the Samantha life.
Toward the Samantha life, indeed. So that's when he retrieves one of them from the trash as Charlie enters the room. He is confused by her new appearance, and even she comments that his wound looks infected, and so she goes to distract him, lifting up her top as she rips the bandage off.
Such a great moment. Again, so Shane Black.
So that's when she introduces herself as Charlie, and of course this has taken Mitch aback, and she's like, you need a drink, and he accepts. So Charlie informs him Samantha never existed and was just a creation, adding, look what she did to her, commenting on her large ass. She requests that they change the subject from Samantha, as Charlie tells him her plan is to enroll back into the agency and start basically taking jobs again. So that's when we see Perkins receives a call from Charlie telling him that since Douglas is dead, she completed her assignment. She adds that she wants to come in, and Perkins tries to direct her to a safe house, but Charlie tells him that she's calling the shots and will reach back out when she's ready to speak to him. Perkins then asks Timothy, who is in the office with him, if he heard the call, and Timothy questions if she remembers Douglas. Does she know about Project Honeymoon now? And that's when Perkins tells her that he has 24 hours to find her and kill her, and he cannot have anyone know that Timothy is working for him or it's his ass. So the White House has no idea that he's got a fucking arms dealer on his payroll.
Yeah. That might... Actually, I think it'd be fine.
Yeah,
No, it'd be fine.
So Charlie informs Mitch that she doesn't trust Perkins and expects him to trace the call to their location, and if Mitch is captured and tortured, then that proves good reason that she should not trust Perkins.
Hey, that's pretty sound logic.
So that's when they go back to the hotel suite, and Charlie tries to put the moves on Mitch, biting his ears, groping him. Mitch isn't having it, telling her that he believes that she wants to fuck him simply to basically kill the last sight of Samantha, holding up the picture that she had torn, and that's when she gets upset again.
Yeah, he's not much of a cad after all, is he?
No. So that's when Samantha decides that she's going to leave the hotel for a little bit. She starts walking the street, and a guy to ask her, does she want some company? And she jokingly says, no, I think if I go this way, I might get raped. And that's when the guy's like, well, hey, and holds up a gun, telling her to go into the alley. So he gets her into the alley, and that's when she's looking around for other headhunters. And Mitch then shows up as he's got the gun pointed on Samantha and basically tells the guy that, because the guy's like, this is a big fucking gun. And Mitch goes, this isn't a ham on rye.
Well, this ain't a ham on rye.
A giant fucking hand cannon on this guy.
Yeah, it's a 357 Magnum.
Yeah, 357. And that's when Charlie quickly dispatches the one headhunter, and then 3 others show up, and she dispatches them quickly. Confirming that Perkins does want her dead, she says they need to get out of New Jersey.
Good luck. Actually, that's one of my favorite lines.
Yeah.
He says, many have tried and failed.
Yeah, Mitch even contemplates if she needs him anymore, and that's when Charlie comments, good point, before shoving Mitch out the door onto the street. And Mitch, being the absolute hero that he is, just lays on his back, pulls out a cigarette, lights it, smokes it, and she rounds the block like a couple times, like speeding through, then pulls up next to him and is like, hey, get in.
It's a great. There's so much to love about this film.
So Mitch asks, does she have use for him now? And that's when she says, yes, she's leaving the country and she needs money and a new identity. And Mitch is like, oh, yeah, well, let me just go into where I have all this money. And that's when she adds, she doesn't need to worry about that because the key that's on her charm bracelet is actually for a safety deposit box in Boston, and that they have to return to Honesdale to get it.
Honesdale. That sounds like Central Jersey to me.
So we see the next morning they've arrived as Charlie leaps out of the moving car, telling Mitch that if there's any trouble to warn her by honking, and that's when she sneaks over a fence and finds Ronald smoking a cigarette. And that's when he's like, Miss Caine, and she's like, Ronald, what did I tell you about smoking? Taking the cigarette from him, taking a hit. And that's when she also says, if you tell anybody you saw me, I'll come back and fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when Samantha sneaks into the house. She's searching for Caitlin's bear because that's where the charm bracelet was put around its neck. And that's when she finds the bear with the key. Charlie looks out the window, though, as she looks over to the church where they're having the Christmas program and looks through a scope of her rifle, looking at Hal and Caitlin. Suddenly, Mitch sounds the horn, warning her that intruders are here, as we see company has arrived and is pursuing him in the car, firing at him. So then she goes out the back door. We see a pair of skates. She grabs the pair of skates, and then fucking Samantha, as Charlie, is completely skating across this rink, keeping up with Mitch and these guys that are shooting on them. And then the car goes onto the ice, and she starts gunning them down on the ice on skates.
Guys, you gotta see this.
Yeah,
film.
you gotta see this movie.
You gotta see this movie.
So she gets everybody dead in the car, and that's when
with such a quickness. I mean, she shoots the gun 3 times at the windshield, and 3 guys are dead.
And Mitch witnesses this all. So we see Caitlin at the church as the program's finishing, and that's when Timothy swoops in, gassing her, kidnapping her, even shows the youth leader a gun and basically tells her to stay out of this and stay quiet, don't tell anybody. So Charlie and Mitch continue driving as he asks, could she have shot them in the shoulder? And that's when she tells him to back off. Charlie's phone starts ringing as the call comes in from Timothy telling her that he has Caitlin, and he asks for her location. As she gives it, he tells her he doesn't like cell phones, that he wants her to go to a landline. That's when Charlie hangs up, tells Mitch the situation, and Mitch suggests, why don't they trace the call? And she's like, well, how are we going to do that? And he's like, let's go to the phone company.
I mean, sounds obvious.
So they break into the phone company. They've got their guns, and that's when they tell one of the workers that she's got 40 minutes to basically do a trace and run a patch. And that's when Timothy calls in. Charlie asks him to verify. Well, let me back up for a second, because when Timothy calls in, Samuel L. Jackson is at the desk, and he's like, Holiday Inn. And that's when Timothy asks for her room. And that's when Charlie asks like that she is at the location. She keeps him on the line. And that's when they find out that he is at Niagara Falls, and that he's going to keep Caitlin until she arrives, and also that he got the number off her cast, confirming that he does really have her. So that's when she decides that they're going to go to Niagara Falls, because that is the confirmation of where Operation Honeymoon was going to be started. So Mitch and Charlie arrive at Timothy's compound in Niagara Falls. We see Perkins is there, and Timothy look over Caitlin as Charlie breaks down the plans for Mitch, that she's going to lay down cover fire for him, and she's going to try to sneak in as well and give her a signal if anything goes wrong. Charlie tells him that they may possibly blow her head off, and this is the last time that she'll ever be pretty. She kisses him on the cheek and advances towards the compound.
It's a very sweet moment. So it's really great.
Yeah. We see that the compound is heavily guarded, but Charlie quickly dispatches one of the guys, and then she notices a candle burning in the window.
Oh, I could see why you were choked up by that.
So she quickly kills the guard that's guarding Caitlin by knocking on the door, and she shoots through the peephole. That's when she sneaks Caitlin out, but Mitch watches her, and that's when Timothy sneaks up, very Lethal Weapon-like, with what's his face? Oh my God, I can't think of the villain's name in Lethal Weapon. That is the guy from Liar Liar and Halloween 6, the head of Shadow Company.
Oh, God.
He sneaks up on Mel Gibson the same way with the sniper rifle. Yeah. So that's when we find out that he was completely onto this plan. He alerts his men. Lights come up in the yard, and that's when she's blasted and she falls into a basement that is now being riddled with bullets. And as they ricochet off, hitting kerosene, one man threatens to drop a match if she doesn't want to back down. And that's when we also see that Caitlin was gifted a doll by Perkins. It's a peeing doll. And we just see that she looks down at this doll, looks at the kerosene, and that's all we get for this moment.
For a moment.
So Mitch and Charlie are apprehended, held in front of Perkins and Timothy, and Charlie puts together the Operation Honeymoon was put together for budget cuts in the government. Project Honeymoon was intended to be a false flag chemical bomb detonation in Niagara Falls, planned by the CIA in an attempt to blame Islamic terrorists and secure more funding. Charlie realizes that Timothy and a new group are plotting to restage the attack, led by Perkins in this case. And Mitch asks about faking the attack, and that's when Perkins confirms, you can't fake killing 4,000 people, so I guess we're just going to do it.
Hey, you know what? If it's anything worth doing, it's worth doing right.
So they're going to do it via a chemical bomb on a semi that they're going to send into a nearby town, and that is when he also states that they're going to suffocate Charlie and Caitlin into a freezer that is also at this spot, and that's when Charlie takes a second to tell Timothy to look into Caitlin's eyes, because that night that her and Timothy had a rendezvous before everything went south, they had sex, and Caitlin is his daughter.
Ooh.
And she's like, look into her eyes if you don't believe me.
That's a great moment too. So
Yeah.
when he looks the kid in the eyes, regardless of the fact that the child may favor him slightly,
Yeah.
what sells the idea that he sees himself in the little girl's eyes is his acting and the music.
Yeah.
Because the music swells and becomes really intense, telling us that the reality is that he sees his own eyes in her eyes. And I love that moment because that is such a hard moment to imagine doing well. But in reality, all it took was the music.
And
It's
Geena
great.
Davis just basically uses his own words against him and basically says, "Am I lying?" And he's pissed. So he walks out, and that's when Geena Davis, as Charlie, tells Caitlin that they're going to hibernate just like the bears did because the intention is to kill them both, suffocating them in a freezer.
Yeah.
So that's when we also see that they shut the door, turning the freezer on to kill Charlie and Caitlin. But Charlie gets to work hacking at the ground. Outside, Timothy's men load the chemical bomb into the tanker for the attack, while Charlie digs under the freezer door, making a small gap, and then using Caitlin's retainer and the doll with the kerosene in it as the doll pees the kerosene.
Which filling the peeing baby doll with kerosene.
Genius.
So good.
Genius. So that's when she goes to work on the ground, trying to pound it and get a spark going. Meanwhile, Timothy goes to visit Mitch, who is tied to a chair in the hotel that's on the compound, telling him that since it's Christmas Eve, he'll give him a choice, a knife or a gun. And he also throws the knife right at his crotch, but misses like barely.
Well, and on purpose.
On purpose, yes. So Charlie can't get the spark going. She starts to break down crying, and that's when Caitlin pulls out matches from her cast, saying that she kept the matches in there to make sure that she was able to light a candle for her every night. And Charlie grabs onto Caitlin,
So sweet.
starts embracing her, and that's when Caitlin's like, "Are we going to die?" And she's like, "No, we're not going to die. They're going to die."
Man, she's going to be describing that to the therapist.
Yeah. So lighting the fire, Timothy is about to fire on Mitch, and the bomb goes, or the explosion goes off, and fucking Mitch is blasted out of the window of this hotel 100 feet into the snow.
Yeah.
And he still has the knife attached to his chair as he breaks the ground. A guard comes up to him. He takes the knife, rams it right into his skull. Such a badass move.
It's, oh my God. This finale is about to get so crazy.
So he sees that the explosion was definitely Charlie, calls her a foxy bitch, and that's when Charlie and Caitlin go outside, and Charlie begins killing Timothy's men as she tells Caitlin to hide. Mitch, getting a hold of a walkie-talkie, watches as Caitlin, taking a hiding spot in the cargo of a truck, just happens to be the truck that they've loaded the bomb onto.
What are the odds?
So we see Timothy tell his men the plan is not changing, and as they are to go on as scheduled, loading the corpse that they are duping the crime onto and into the car that they're going to have, basically, because they're going to set the bomb off 5 miles down the road. The car is going to crash, and the semi is going to crash, causing the bomb to go off. When it reaches 312 degrees, that's when the chemical bomb will go off.
Which is almost as good as the plot of Speed, I guess.
A little bit. So Charlie is reached by Mitch, who tells her he's going to go after Caitlin with her as backup through the scope. We see Mitch start to make his way to the ground of the truck, and she is giving him cover fire. He's also laying down some fire as well, but unfortunately he's ambushed and shot down beside the truck, and we think this probably is the end of what is Samuel Jackson's story in this movie.
I mean, damn.
He is bloody. He is hurt. So the truck begins to move out with Caitlin still inside. A bloody Mitch wiggles in the snow by the dupe car. Charlie races off through the snowy forest, shooting a guard dead into the car and stealing it. But Timothy is onto her, sending more men and even sending the chopper back into the air after her.
Get to the chopper.
So we cut to the nearby town where a Christmas Eve celebration is in progress. Charlie speeds through the town. She hops onto the bomb truck, throwing the driver out, and she begins driving the car through the town with Timothy's men right in pursuit. Getting the truck out of town, Charlie goes to brake, but in the smarts of the plan, the brake line's been cut. So as soon as she hits that brake line severs, and now she has no control as she's going down a freaking incline.
Yeah, and I mean, going down an incline in a pickup or a semi truck is not easy.
No.
And that's with brakes.
And that is when she says the beautiful line of "suck my dick, every one of you bastards," as she rams through the brick wall of this bridge. Charlie crashes the truck, turning it onto its side. The truck skirts along the road, hitting right into Timothy's car, which Timothy's car then flips over, and Charlie is surfing on top of this semi as it runs into him.
Yes.
So she collides, flipping the car, sending Charlie flying. Timothy ambushes her as they get into a brawl, with Timothy armed with a knife, and she even comments, "Oh, honey, only 4 inches?" And that's when Timothy says, "You will feel me." So she arms herself with a chain, and the two fight over and throwing themselves over the side of the bridge as Timothy is sent into the water below. Charlie clings to a chain fence, climbs back up as Timothy has also survived and emerges on another side.
Jeez.
It's fucking
so
crazy.
much action. The ending it's almost mind-bending.
Yeah. So Charlie runs to Caitlin as the helicopter begins firing on her, shooting a flare into the gunman's chest as he completely goes aflame, falls out of the helicopter, and he catches himself on some Christmas lights that are strung up on the bridge, and that basically holds him in place, which may come back in a second. Who knows?
Oh, I don't know.
So that's when we also see that Charlie rescues Caitlin as she tells her to run. Caitlin begs her not to leave, but Charlie tells her that she's right behind her, and by this point, Charlie is succumbing to her wounds and collapses right on the bridge. So Caitlin turns around as she stops running, looking back. That's when Timothy flags down the helicopter to pick him up. Caitlin joins Charlie at her side, apologizing for leaving her, calling her mommy, telling her to get up, basically doing everything in the scene at the ice rink before.
Yeah.
And that's when she basically says, you can't die, stop being a little baby, you're not dead. And she starts crying, ordering her to stand up right this minute. Charlie comes to slowly, getting off the ground. The two walk as we see Timothy now in the helicopter, telling his men to take them to the bridge as he is not leaving until this bitch is dead. So he quickly finds Charlie and Caitlin on the bridge, opens fire, and that's when they take shelter on the side of the truck, and Charlie, using the truck radio, begs for help as one of the government men is like, no, we can't do it, I'm sorry. Whereas suddenly a bloody Mitch comes into frame, sitting in the driver's seat of the dupe vehicle, drives out commenting, "You can't kill me, motherfuckers." And
we're not even selling it hard enough.
His bring back, they have a electric guitar as he just flies out of the back of this semi, driving onto the road. He joins Charlie on the bridge with Caitlin as Timothy keeps firing on them. She gets Caitlin into the car and draws Timothy's attention away, and he follows her to the center of the bridge where the helicopter guy's body is still aflame. But now she sees those Christmas lights are hanging, and they might be some leverage to pull her up. As she slices the strand of Christmas lights, it sends her up as she grabs a machine gun off the dead guard, fires an entire clip into Timothy, who falls out right on top of the semi on the bomb, because we did forget to mention that she did tell Timothy that he was going to die screaming, and she was going to be there to watch.
Well, it's always good to keep your promises.
Yeah, so she fires an entire clip into him. He falls on top of the truck, and that's when she says, "I told you you'd die screaming, you motherfucker." Such a good line. And that's when we also see that he is now on top of the tanker. She gets into the car with Mitch. The bomb is getting ready to go off. Mitch is speeding away. We see 2, 1, the truck blows up. And when I say this truck blows up,
you mean the bridge blows up?
The bridge blows up. The bridge is out.
Everything in the eye shot.
A Renny Harlin fireball that we have come to know and love as we see them speeding away from nothing but flames behind them. And that's when literally it starts raining cars that are on fire because the bridge is blown up, set these cars on fire, so they're raining down in front of them.
It's a sight to behold.
It really is.
And it really makes you feel like it's Christmas.
So we see them get away from the center of the bridge, which is completely gone now. There is no bridge. And that's when sometime later down the road, Mitch pulls off to the side stating he can't drive anymore. And he even asks Charlie if she's okay. And she's like, "Are you stupid?" And he tells Caitlin that she's got her mommy's eyes and let no one tell her different. And Charlie tells him, "Hey, hang on. Don't you remember? We're rich now," as she holds up the bracelet.
Yep.
So we see Charlie sometime later in the future driving down the road in a Corvette as the president calls her, apologizing for Perkins, telling him wrong, and even offering to bring her back into the field and that he's got a handsome sum for her if she wants it. She turns him down, but she's saying that she's got all the money she needs, but there is a favor that...
Well, she says you'd be surprised how much money a teacher can make.
And we see that she's got the loot at this point. So that's when she also asked the president for a favor, and that's when we cut to Larry King live.
Yes, and it is literally actually Larry King.
And Mitch is a guest on there as they're exposing the corruption that has happened in the government, and he's a special guest being interviewed by Larry.
Yeah, I love that moment too, because he's just chewing it up with Larry King.
And we also see that Todd and his mother are watching, so his son and his ex-wife are watching. We cut back to Charlie, who is now living as Samantha again. They've bought a farm in a countryside. She's enjoying lunch with Hal. But we also hear that an annoying cricket is right by them, and I think they're eating chicken, and that's when she takes her knife, throws it, and the cricket stops chirping.
It's a pretty great moment because you just kind of don't even think about the cricket sound because they're outside.
They're outside,
and then it just stops.
Just stops. So that's when Hal and Samantha join Caitlin. As we see, they bought a farm now. They're living in the countryside. They're happy. The camera pulls out. We see the beautiful house, the farm animals, and everything. And that, my friends, is 1996's The Long Kiss Goodnight.
And I mean, a perfect happy ending.
Yeah.
Definitely a feel-good action movie.
Yeah.
Where nobody we liked gets hurt.
No, not at all.
Well,
Nathan.
Eh.
So, would you like to know some fun things about the film?
They better be fun.
What would you guess the budget is?
I mean, it's a lot. I'm going to guess higher than I was going to because Renny Harlin.
Yeah.
And it was 96?
96. This is post Cutthroat Island, too.
Well, because it wouldn't be 100 because that was like Terminator 2 money at that time.
Not 100.
So 55.
Close. $65 million is the budget.
Okay.
Opening weekend, which was October 13th of 1996.
Fair enough.
It makes $9,065,363. It grosses in U.S. and Canada $33 million, grossing worldwide $89 million.
Okay, so a modest success.
Modest success. Shane Black became the first writer to sell a script for $4 million. He later admitted that this caused a lot of envy among his fellow screenwriters, as well as accusations of commercialism. He voluntarily retired from the blockbuster industry for almost a decade as a result.
Well, it's not that hard to do when you just got a check for $4 million.
Yeah. Screenwriter Shane Black sold the script for the movie with the intention of Renny Harlin directing it and Geena Davis starring in it. Harlin then told him he and Davis were contractually bound to make Cutthroat Island in 1995 first, which became one of the biggest box office bombs of all time. Black later stated that this may have caused bad advertisements that worked against the film as well.
Yeah, I feel like I would have imagined it would do better. But then again, I mean, you just never know.
Yeah. The plot is loosely inspired by the Robert Ludlum novel, The Bourne Identity, which was made into a movie of its own a few years later. A spy who hunts terrorists, gets shot, almost drowns, wakes up with amnesia, and uses clues to patch together their past, links to a shadowy government agency. Brian Cox, by the way, appears in both films.
Hey, he does, yeah.
The film is famous for being one of 3 big-budget films that came out of the indie studio New Line Cinema in 1996 and underperformed. The other 2 were The Island of Dr. Moreau and Last Man Standing.
Oh, man. Okay.
Up until their releases, New Line Cinema had specialized in low to medium budgeted genre pictures.
Yeah, those are big movies for New Line at that time.
Samuel L. Jackson said in a GQ interview that he read the script and really wanted the role, but the studio said it was written as a white character. Jackson then met Geena and Renny at a Christmas party, and he told them he loved the script and wanted the role, and Renny said, "You want to be in my film? Then you've got it." And that was that.
Hey, Renny's not a dope.
On The Tonight Show, starring Jimmy Fallon in 2014, Jimmy Fallon in 2019, Samuel L. Jackson listed Mitch as his favorite role.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know, his character in Jackie Brown was pretty great, too.
Pretty great.
But Mitch has a lot of redeeming qualities, too. I really like him.
Geena Davis and then husband, director Renny Harlin, checked how long she could hold her breath in their bathtub to prepare for the water torture scene.
Well, the weeks are long. You get bored.
Yeah.
Why not?
At one point in The Long Kiss Goodnight, Jackson's character, Mitch Hennessy, and Geena Davis, amnesic spy Charlie, escape from pursuers by jumping out of a window, firing a machine gun at the ice below so the water can cushion their fall. Jackson told host Jennifer Hudson that filming the scene required the actors to actually be submerged in freezing cold water again and again. It was negative 37 degrees that day, Jackson recalled. They cut a hole in the ice and they put a hot tub in it to make sure we didn't float away. Because there was a current in the lake, they had to break the ice because it would freeze over between shots and we would get in. They told us to count to 5 and we would come up, then we would crawl across the ice and they'd put us in the hot tub while they looked at the replay. Unfortunately, the initial replay wasn't good enough for director Renny Harlin, who was married to Davis at the time. So as if the sub-zero swimming wasn't hard enough, Jackson and Davis had to perform the stunt repeatedly. We did it like 5 times, Jackson said. I have never felt anything like that in my life. The headache you get when you drink milk too fast, multiply that that by 20. Oh Lord, my brain was like, what are we doing? Davis also happened to talk about the stunt recently during an appearance on The Late Late Show with James Corden last October. She said the actors only did 3 times, but given the excruciating pain of the freezing water, it's understandable that she and Jackson have slightly different memories of that moment. It was like being hit in the head with a sledgehammer, Davis said. Of the experience, I couldn't see, think, or hear.
I can't even imagine that. Yeah. That's insanity.
For the record, Geena Davis did her own stunts for the film, too.
Jeez, that's nuts.
One of the movie's original locations was a historic Grand Hotel in Moosaka, Ontario, the 100-year-old Windermere House. During filming, however, the hotel caught fire and burned to the ground. The heat from the film lights were initially blamed for causing the blaze, but it was never proven that the lights started the fire.
Wow, yeah, that's right. That's blame the film production.
Yeah. The line, yes, it was very exciting. Tomorrow we go to the zoo, was recycled from Shane Black's original script for The Last Boy Scout.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah. The ice skating scene were scripted to end with Samantha performing a double axel flip and simultaneously firing over her upside head. After 2 aerial rig configurations in sub-zero conditions and several attempts at green screening failed to hold any convincing fluency to the action, it was dropped from the final cut of the film.
Where did they film this again?
What was it?
Because it was insanely cold.
Yeah, it would have been Ontario.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Shane Black's original script was much darker for the film and more graphic than the final film. Amongst the many differences, it included alternate action sequences, more violence, like the scene where Mitch and Charlie are captured and get tortured. Both characters also had bigger backstories in the original script. Mitch at one point tells Charlie how he was gang raped in prison and how his wife refuses to let him see his son because of what happened to him. Charlie also had more of a dark backstory in the script in the final film as well.
Yeah, Shane tends to pack it with the heavy stuff,
dark
and then
places.
It gets drawn back a little bit.
Yeah, I told you I read the original Last Boy Scout script after reading that one fact.
Yeah, you did.
Fuck, dude. Jesus. In the first draft of the screenplay, Mitch dies from his bullet wounds. Test audiences liked his character and performance so much that the ending was reshot, letting him live to save the day and redeem himself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, because it is a pretty happy ending.
Geena Davis was the first female actor to ever say, "Suck my dick" in a movie in this film.
She was the first one to say it in a movie in this film. Whoa.
In several scenes from the hotels, the minibar contains vodka of Finnish brand Finlandia, obviously placed there by Renny Harlin.
Oh, he's Finnish, not Swedish.
During development, New Line Cinema considered turning the lead character into a male. Steven Seagal and Sylvester Stallone were considered as suitable choices if the lead had gone that way.
It wouldn't have worked.
Craig Ferguson auditioned for the role of Timothy.
Oh, my God.
I could see it.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but I can see it.
Yeah, I like Craig Ferguson.
I love Craig Ferguson. So the last page of Black's original 1994 script stated there would be a sequel called The Kiss After Lightning that never happened. While a possible sequel was reportedly in the works in 2007, no sequel has ever been produced as of 2024.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know that we need more.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of like knowing that Samantha gets to live her happy life now.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be terrible if like they just siege on the farm. Like that's the opening of the movie.
You mean like what they did to Rambo
and Commando?
I mean, I love the Rambo movies.
Yeah,
but when they started adding Rambo movies after Part 4, his story ended so happy in 4.
Yeah,
with him finally going home.
Well, not to mention how dark Last Blood. I mean, Last Blood was satisfying, but. Fuck.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying is like that was the one where they were like, and we're going to do more.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah. My God. So what are your final thoughts on 1996's The Long Kiss Goodnight?
It's 1,000% a rent it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an action movie, 90s movie nut, then you'd want to own it for sure. But this is definitely a movie worth plopping down your $4.99 to watch in HD. I couldn't recommend it enough. And it's got just enough Christmassy moments to make you feel a little bit festive.
Yeah, it's actually packed with Christmas, surprisingly.
Yeah, no, well, it takes place at Christmas time.
Yeah. So it is also a rent it for me as well, with a caveat to buy it if you are a physical media collector or an action aficionado. This movie is so much fun because you're not used to seeing Geena Davis play these type of roles at all.
No, and she's perfect.
Perfect for it. So, I mean, if you like a good female badass, this is one of those movies. If you're looking for a Christmas action film and you've watched Die Hard so many times, even though I will still watch it every single year on December 1st, but you're looking for something new, this is a great one to fill that gap. And you will probably have a good time with some friends if you want to include them as well.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
So yeah, it's a rental for both of us. We always like to end the show with a couple recommendations. I've got 2 this week. The first one being Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, a Shane Black screenplay from a directorial once or no.
I don't know if he.
I think not Joel Schumacher. Fuck, who did it? I can't remember who did it. But anyway,
really, you don't know?
My bad. From 2005, it is currently available to rent on Prime or Vudu. It says, after being mistaken for an actor, a New York thief is sent to Hollywood to train under a private eye for a potential movie role, but the duo are thrown together with a struggling actress into a murder mystery.
Directed as well by Shane Black.
Oh, it is Shane Black directed. Okay, yeah. Second recommendation is 1996's Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger, also available to rent on Prime or Vudu. A witness protection specialist becomes suspicious of his coworkers when dealing with a case involving high-tech weapons.
I do enjoy me some Eraser.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Definitely a good one. What's your recommendation?
Well, I'm going to go obvious. I'm not going to go for a deep cut. I'm going to go for something you've probably seen, but maybe it's time for a revisit.
Okay.
I'm going with 1987's Lethal Weapon,
Good
written
call.
by Shane Black.
Yes.
And if you haven't seen Lethal Weapon, it is confusing to me. But the IMDb synopsis is 2 newly paired cops who are complete opposites put aside their differences in order to catch a gang of drug smugglers. That's basically it. But it's a lot of fun. It's hilarious. And I'm sure you could find it somewhere to watch.
Yeah. And Christmas to the T.
That's what I was saying. And it has Christmas in it.
Yeah.
So it fits the season. It's the movie that introduced us to all the Shane Blackisms in action films.
Yeah.
So that's going to be my recommendation, Lethal Weapon.
And do we have any emails this week?
Maybe. Yeah, we do. We actually do. Okay. So this first one is from our buddy Tyler.
Okay.
Tyler, who's probably going to join us on movie night for Thanksgiving.
Hell yeah.
The subject line is suggestions.
Okay.
Hey boys, a thought occurs to me. Have you guys considered covering any documentaries, animated films, or even foreign films?
Animated is definitely a possibility. I don't know about documentary.
I don't think a documentary
might be hard.
would really fit.
Yeah.
But we've done one foreign film so far.
The Christmas, Just Another Christmas.
Just Another Christmas, which is phenomenal. It's on Netflix. Watch it, for the love of God.
Listen to our episode, hear us cry.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But documentaries, no. Animated, maybe.
Yeah.
I really want to revisit Cool World.
Cool World, I would be down
When
with.
I was a kid, way too young, I was watching it on Cinemax. So I'd love to watch it as an adult and see if it's any good. So I will be watching that. I think it hasn't come out yet, has it?
It hit Blu-ray last year, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe Rachel has a copy then.
I think she might.
But yeah, so I would love to revisit that.
Yeah.
There aren't a ton of animated movies that I'm that into, but I'm not opposed to doing an animated movie.
And foreign movies, absolutely. It's just a matter of availability, which I know is funny for me to say that, as some of our movies haven't been available lately. But foreign films, I'm absolutely. I'm into a huge category 3, which is Hong Kong movies right now. So yeah, I would absolutely talk about foreign films.
Yeah, so I'm sure it'll come up eventually.
Yeah.
And we are trying to keep the movies relatively accessible, although a lot of them end up not being readily available to watch.
Hard to fucking keep track anymore.
Yeah, cry about it. Oh man, this is a long one.
Okay.
This is from our viewer Daniel.
Okay.
The subject is Louie in all caps with 2 exclamation points. And then Life with Louie is right at the top.
Okay.
He said, sorry, got caught in 90s nostalgia. Great show, Life with Louie. I loved Life with Louie when I was a kid.
It was a fun show.
Anyway, hope this reaches you guys before you guys do the episode before Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, this came in on Saturday.
Gotcha.
So not quite. We do the shows about a week out.
Yeah.
Louie, I totally agree with you that Thanksgiving turkey is super dry. Not a fan. I'm just saying, when my cousin makes it, it is unbelievably moist all the way through. But also, you're a fool if you're into the white meat anyway.
That's fair.
People call me weird because I love deli turkey, but don't like Thanksgiving turkey. I also don't like deli ham, but love bone-in ham.
Fair.
That part I do find weird because I like both
weird.
types of ham.
Yeah.
To me, cold cut turkey is just so different from
absolutely
roasted turkey. I hope you guys have a wonderful and joyous Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for both of you guys that get me through a lot of my work days with both podcasts, Do You Even Movie and Weekly Spooky.
Awesome.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you for all you do to keep us entertained and giving at least some of us new experiences in the movies you suggest and review.
That's awesome. Happy to do it.
Dave's doesn't thank you, but I do.
I thank you. My apologies.
Yeah, sure. So, With that all being said,
Yes, sir.
I just want to remind everybody you can email us like these gentlemen did at doyouevenmoviepod@gmail.com, or just go to doyouevenmovie.com for all the information you could ever need about the program. We love to hear from you. If you're watching us on YouTube, leave a comment. We respond to as many of them as we can, which is generally all of them.
Yep.
And if you're listening to us on the podcast feed, make sure you're subscribed and leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So what are we watching next week, David?
So next week, we are diving into, I think, a quintessential film of our friendship, because I think this was one where it was just like, you like this? I love this.
Oh, man, I've always loved this movie.
We're talking about 1994's The Ref, starring Dennis Leary, Kevin Spacey, Geena Davis, J.K. Simmons. I mean, the list goes on and on for that one, too.
There's so many people
So
in that
many
movie.
ones. Yeah, that one is currently available to rent on Prime and Fandango. I will say that if you are a physical media collector, just buy the DVD, because with it being a Disney title, technically, there's no telling when we're going to get a Blu-ray.
I mean, one year it was on Netflix, one year it was on Disney Plus. It bounces around like crazy.
It does.
I bought it, the HD version on Vudu, which is now Fandango at home.
Fandango at home, yes.
So, but yeah, it'll be The Ref from 1994, starring Dennis Leary, and that movie is a scream.
And I do want to remind everybody that The Long Kiss Goodnight was a recommendation from our buddy Maurice, which just goes to prove again that if you have a movie you want us to do, send us an email. We would love to hear from you and think and hear what your thoughts are on what we should talk about.
You never know what might happen.
You never know.
All right, my friends. Well, it's time for me to get out of here so I can go inhale fumes to get the rest of this mucus out of my head.
Fair.
I am not fully recovered from my cold yet. I am ready to not talk anymore, which is a shock to most people. They would assume that me being unable to talk is fatal. But yeah, so we're going to get out of here. So everybody stay safe out there, and chefs do that.
Da-da-na-na-na. Signing off the podcast.
Da-da-na-na-na. See you next Tuesday.